Hey guys! Today I'm going to be doing two quick book reviews. I recently read two books that absolutely blew me away and I just couldn't wait to talk to you about it. I haven't had a chance to film a video recently, so I thought I would try to make up for it by filming two really quick book reviews. So the first book that I read was The Shadow of the Wind by Carlos Ruiz Zafon. This is a story of a boy named Daniel who as a child finds this book called The Shadow of the Wind. And once he reads it, he becomes obsessed with the story and with the author of the story, Julian Corax. When Daniel discovers that someone has been mysteriously going around all of Spain and finding these authors' works and just burning them, he goes on a quest to try to figure out who is doing this and why. He doesn't find out much at first because he's very young, but as he gets a little bit older, he rediscovers this obsession of his and he tries to dig a little deeper to try to find out who Julian was and what his story was all about and why someone has been trying to kind of erase his history. The rest of the book is basically Daniel discovering the real truth and having to really deal with some really dangerous situations. Someone doesn't want him to discover the truth and they'll stop at nothing to make sure that Daniel doesn't figure out what's going on. I really love this book. I was not expecting the story that I got. At first it starts off a little bit slow. I decided to just push through it because it was a very popular book and it had a lot of great reviews and I really wanted to see, what the fuss was about. And I'm so happy that I stuck with it because the ending blew me away and it got to the point where halfway through the book I couldn't put it down. I was absolutely spellbound reading this story, and as the reader we're figuring out what really happened right along with Daniel. We're reading about two different stories, the present and what Daniel is experiencing now, and we're going back into the past trying to figure out what happened back then, who was a part of the story back then. So you kind of have to keep track of where you are in the story, but it wasn't really hard for me. Once I got my bearings, it was very easy, and I just really enjoyed just reading the story and figuring out what the mystery really was, because there's a huge plot twist in this book that I was not expecting. I had a few theories in mind. Nothing came close to the real story. I couldn't stop thinking about it for days after I read it. It's just such a great story and I highly recommend it. The next book that I read was Love in the Time of Cholera by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. This is a love story, kind of. It's a story of a man named Florentino and a woman named Fermina. The story begins in the present, and Fermina's husband, who is a well-respected doctor, has an accident and passes away. Shortly after his death, Florentino speaks to Fermina and basically declares his undying love for her, and Fermina completely shuts him out. The story then goes back in time so that we can see how Florentino and Fermina met and their love story when they were younger. They have a secret romance, so they can only communicate through letters and secret meetings. Fermina's father does not approve of Florentino, and when he finds out that Florentino is really serious about her and that Fermina is considering marrying him, her father decides to move them out of the country for like about a year, and throughout this entire time they're still communicating through letters, still keeping in touch. And when her father thinks that Fermina maybe has forgotten about him, he decides to move back into the city. And when Fermina and Florentino meet again in the market one day, she takes one look at him and realizes that their love was an illusion and it wasn't real, and she basically renounces his love for her and gives back all of his letters and pretty much tells him, this is a mistake. It's time for both of us to move on. And that's exactly what she does. She moves on with her life, gets married, has a family, And Florentino throughout this entire time is still in love with her, pining after her. No other woman comes close to him. The rest of the book kind of goes over 50 plus years of history. Florentino, for his part, never forgets Fermina, and throughout his entire life he has countless love affairs with women, all kinds of women. And Fermina builds a family life, and she's more focused on her family. It's very clear that Florentino doesn't exist for her, whereas Florentino cannot think of anybody else but Fermina. He makes comments like he's just waiting for her husband to die so he can make his move. I would say it's kind of an obsession. He is kind of obsessed with her. He cannot let go of their past. He cannot let go of what they had, even though it's very clear that neither of them are the same person that they were, but he just cannot let go. When Florentino learns that Fermina's husband has passed away, he decides to try one more time to win her over and see if he finally can get his chance. I really enjoyed this. It's very long-winded, very descriptive. Marquez is one of those authors that really takes his time. This is not a plot-driven novel, it's more character-driven. We are focusing on just Florentino and Fermina, so you have to keep that in mind when you're reading this book. It's not going to be a fast-paced, whirlwind romance. It's a very subtle, slow, complicated look at, their history, their experiences, their time apart, and what kind of people they grow up to be. I went back and forth between really pitying Florentino and being absolutely frustrated with him. His insistence on loving this woman who has clearly moved on with her life, who sees him as a shadow. She barely notices him. She's building a family, having experiences with her husband who she loves. And at times I wish that Florentino, who has been watching this all unfold, would stop pining after her and move on with his life. You're kind of thinking, Florentino, you're pathetic. You need to get over yourself. There are other women out there, women that love you, and you should just, try to build a life for yourself. But he doesn't. I mean, this story would not be what it is if he had, but it's just very frustrating sometimes. He literally puts his entire life on hold for this woman. And so towards the end of the book, when he finds her again and tells her that, his feelings haven't changed, that he's literally loved her forever, I was desperate for a happy ending. I kind of wished more for him, so I was very happy with the ending. I was pretty satisfied with how it came about, and I really want to try to read more Marquez. I already have 100 Years of Solitude that I want to get to, and so very excited to pick that one up because I really did enjoy his writing and the way he tells stories. So those are the two books that I read. I highly recommend both of them. Both were fantastic, and I just really wanted to take the time to dedicate a video to both of those books because I really did love them that much. Let me know if you've read any of these books and what you thought about them. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video.